Hello. Welcome to Mentoring with the Masters. My name is Jennifer Kuyrkendall. I am the Third Circuit representative on the Young Lawyers Division Board of Governors. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Frank Bedell of Bedell Dispute Resolutions. We're going to be discussing early mediation. So let's get started, Frank. When you say early mediation, what exactly does that mean?
For today, early mediation means a mediation which takes place either before a suit has been filed or maybe after a little bit of discovery, but not extensive discovery. That's what I mean.
What are some of the benefits of having an early mediation?
Well, I think the benefits are many. For one thing, obviously, if you can settle a case early for your client without your client having to spend a whole lot of money, that is a good thing for your client. Even if you don't settle the case, an early mediation allows you to learn. You can learn a lot more about your client's case, you can learn more about the other side's case, and you can learn more about your client and how he or she is going to stand up during the stress of litigation.
How do you decide whether or not you want to have an early mediation?
Well, there are a number of things to consider. Obviously, in addition to the benefits of an early mediation, you want to think about potential detriments. If your client has limited resources, that may be one of the things that you want to consider. If the legal situation has a limited time component, that's one of the things to consider. You want to think about the identity of the parties. For example, maybe you have a situation where the parties are in business together, a landlord-tenant situation, and they're going to have to continue being in business together. You may want to have an early mediation so that they can repair the relationship which may have been damaged as a result of the litigation. Maybe they're family members. If there's a trust dispute, for example, and one family member has sued another family member, maybe you can repair those relationships. You want to think about your client's relationship to the money. Is it his or her own money, or are they a representative for a company? Think about the other side's relationship to the money. Think about the amount in controversy. One of the reasons that I think that this topic is good for young lawyers is that you're frequently asked to handle cases in which there's a lower dollar amount, which is a factor to be considered in whether or not you have an early mediation. The length of time that it's going to take to get to trial is one of the things you certainly want to consider, and the amount of money that is ultimately going to be spent in attorney's fees if you have to go all the way through trial. So those are some of the factors.
How do you approach suggesting an early mediation with the other side?
That's another thing that I think that young lawyers should consider, because as a young lawyer, you never want to be perceived as being weak. If you are going to agree or suggest an early mediation, you want to have a strategy in place so that you can avoid being perceived as being weak. And remember also that negotiation begins as soon as that first number is thrown out. So if you're a young lawyer and you think, after speaking with your client, that an early mediation is a good idea, then I think that you call the other lawyer up and you say something like, hey, listen, out of my professional obligation, I think that you and I need to discuss ways that we might be able to resolve this case sooner rather than later. And if you are agreeable, maybe we can have an early mediation. That does not mean that I have lost any confidence in my client's case or any confidence in my ability to handle the case. I just think as a professional that you and I need to talk about ways of resolving the case, and having an early mediation might be the best way.
What would you say, Frank, are some of the differences between an early mediation and a later mediation?
I think that early mediations require more preparation by you as the lawyer. I think that you and your client need to sit down and thoroughly discuss their case, what their interests are, whether they want to use the early mediation to settle the case or whether they want to use it as a learning tool, what your client's ultimate goals are in the litigation, and the other factors that I discussed earlier, discuss those with your clients. I think that you also, in an early mediation, you want to prepare a longer opening statement. I don't want anybody to mistake longer for more aggressive. Just a longer opening statement in an early mediation, because in a later mediation, everybody kind of knows what the issues are. In an early mediation, I think that it's helpful to have a longer opening statement so that you know that you have presented to the other side what the issues that you think are important. And you also may draw a longer opening statement from the other side, and you can see whether there's room for overlap. Then I think that you need to prepare a thorough negotiation strategy. It needs to be flexible, because you're not going to know what the other side is doing as you might in a later mediation. So you have a thorough negotiation strategy. And I think it also would be helpful for you as a lawyer to think about ways that even if you're not going to be able to resolve the case, that you could narrow the issues.
Okay, thank you so much, Frank. Really appreciate you being here with our program, Mentoring with the Masters video series. Some of the items that Frank mentioned just now, as far as the opening statements and the bracketing in negotiation, can also be seen in the Mentoring with the Masters video series. Thank you.
Thank you.